All right, welcome on back to another episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bringing you the first council shoulder patch issue from all councils in Scouting America, both past and present. We're super excited for today's episode where we're going to be able to bring you one of the most anticipated councils, and that's Aheka 354. A lot of people have been eager to see councils that have had multiple reproductions so that they're able to decipher the authentic first issue versus those reproductions. We actually shot this episode about a week ago, but at that time we only had 2 of the 3 reproductions that were produced. We actually decided to hold off on putting out that video so that we could get the 3rd reproduction. So we do have in this video today the TU A, B, and C in addition to the first issue. So we can take you through all of the different variations there, and so that you'd be able to identify the real authentic first issue versus those reproductions. The Aheka 354 Council out of New Jersey was a name change originally in 1939 from Passaic 354. In 1972, it merged with Al Taha to form Passaic Valley 353. All right, let's head over to the patch table. Now, because it merged in 1972, we know the original order to start producing CSPs came from National in 1971. That means there was a very short window in which there was the first issue actually available for council members of the Aheka Council, because there was certainly a delay time from the 1970 announcement being made to then councils being able to get their first patches produced. And so this is the actual authentic first issue T1, denoted by its brown border, light yellow background, the yellow eyes on the figure at the center, and the patch itself has an overall dimension of 127 millimeters by 52. That becomes very helpful, especially when we're looking at the TUB for comparison. Let's see if we can get our ruler on here and help you guys see that it is 127. So there we go. So we can see, having a hard time holding it, but we can see it's right there, close to 127. There is a distinctive size difference when we get to the TUB that we can point out. This is going to be a cloth backed patch. It is that traditional gauze backing that we see on a lot of the very early CSPs. And there are some pretty definite distinctions that we're going to be able to get our focus back here. There we go. That we're going to be able to see between this authentic first issue and the reproductions. One of the things that we find is not generally well produced is this central section where we have kind of the, I guess, body feathering on the totem. You're going to see that that's not well produced on the TUA or TUB. So that will be one of the things that we can point to. But this is the authentic first issue. Now let's look at the first reproduction. It is the easiest of the reproductions to decipher because the TUA has no eyes. So again, having a brown border, yellow background. So they do differentiate as having a darker background, which we see. This is a little more light yellow. This is just straight yellow. They do note that the brown feather ends touch the ears here, but again, the easiest distinction is going to be that there are no eyes on the totem. This one measures 53 by 120 millimeters, but again, sizing not really necessary. Not having any eyes is going to be super distinctive. It does have a very similar back, cloth back, gauze backing on the TUA. But it's hard to think that this is the authentic one because of the no eyes. It becomes very easy to pick out. So that's the first reproduction. The second reproduction is the TUB. Now again, as I talked about earlier, the body here, the body feathering is not clean like it is on the authentic first issue. Another one that we're going to see here is the eyes. This one I think has a bit of an individual thread distinction here on the left eye, but both eyes generally tend to be more round in nature here on the TUB. The background on this is also described as dark yellow. So I'm going to put here, just for comparison, the authentic first issue here at the top. We get a much lighter yellow. This patch does have a little bit of staining on it from whatever its history has been. But the overall color, you can see the true background color is a dark yellow. So that's going to be very distinctive. If I can kind of get these both on here. Here we see that the eye is exceptionally rounded. And I've seen other editions of this TUB where both eyes are clear and they are very round, whereas you can see the original Totem's eyes are elongated vertically, so they're not going to come out super round. Now, if you can get a picture of both the front and back of a TUB, it is going to be easy to determine that it is a reproduction because these are all stamped REPRO. And you can see that here on the right side of this patch. It is stamped as a reproduction. It does have a cloth back. It is a gauze cloth back, much like the original and the TUA. TUB also cloth backed, but it is stamped reproduction. Generally, if I'm just looking at images and I cannot see the back, and I don't have additional patches next to it in the photo, which might give away whether or not this is a dark yellow background or not, I do look to the eyes on this one as the major distinctive pattern, where if the body is not cleanly produced, you're not seeing the white feathering in there very well, and the eyes look rounded to me, I'm generally going to expect that this is going to be a TUB and not the authentic T1. All right, that just leaves us one more reproduction, and it is the best reproduction, and that is the national reproduction from approximately 1980 or 1981. There was a series of several councils that national did reproductions themselves because the original issues were limited in availability, and they wanted to, I guess, provide collectors more opportunity to at least have, if not the original authentic patch, a reproduction. And so this is the national reproduction, the TUC. It is the best reproduction of those produced for Aheka. Again, it is pretty close when we compare it to the original TUA. We have the correct elongated eyes. We have a decently reproduced body. You are at least seeing the white feathering in there, etc. The colors are pretty close. It is also listed as a light yellow background. In person, this looks a little bit lighter. Some of that can also end up being age, whether or not this was exposed to elements over the years, I don't know. Obviously, at this point, being produced in 1980 or 81, it is still a very old patch itself. But the one thing that really gives away the TUC is those national reproductions from 1980 and 1981 are going to all be plastic backed. So you can tell very clearly if you can get an image of the back, which on some online sellers, you're only going to get pictures of the front. I would generally recommend people that are unsure whether or not they're looking at the authentic, original, or reproduction, I would say try and ask that seller to get a picture from the back before purchasing. Certainly not all people who are selling CSPs are well versed in CSPs. They may just have them, or they were given them and they just want to get rid of them, and so they may not know the differences in issues, etc., to be able to well describe those to you. They may not know that seeing the back is actually important in trying to determine if it's stamped REPRO as a TUB reproduction or it's plastic backed, giving you the know-how that it's a TUC, a national reproduction, etc. So ask questions before you buy. Always ask questions before you buy. If you want to make sure that you're trying to get a specific, maybe you're trying to now get the reproductions for comparative sake, or you really want to try and get the authentic T1 original, you want to make sure that you're identifying those correctly before you make your purchase. But the national reproduction TUC is the best reproduction when compared with the original between the ones. So remember, TUA has no eyes, TUB is a darker color. It is smaller. The TUB measures about 122 millimeters versus the original is 127. So it is notably smaller when compared side by side. Let me put those back up again. So when looking at this TUB, we see that it's about 5 millimeters longer, which is notable in length in comparing those. And again, the rounder eyes is one that I really look to when looking at solo pictures and not seeing the back. And then the best reproduction is the National Reproduction TUC, which does have the plastic back. The color match here is pretty good. Again, the fidelity to the original image is pretty good. And oftentimes, if you see a really clean patch, it may be the plastic back National Reproduction. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed seeing the original. And we'll look at the back one more time. This happens to be a pretty clean edition. It's losing focus. There we go. Of the Aheka 354. We're going to continue to try and do that for everyone where there are near variations or reproductions. There are a couple where the reproductions themselves are also pretty expensive just based on age or availability or scarcity. So we may not always be able to bring those to you, but we really do try and get as comprehensive a look at the issues as we can to bring them to you here on the channel. We do hope you guys enjoy that. If there's one that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, let us know in the comments. If there's something in particular that you thought was interesting about this video, let me know that in the comments as well. I will try and bring that type of commentary to future videos for all of you. I want to really say thank you to everybody that's coming back every day to watch the new episodes. We really appreciate having you around and hope you guys continue to enjoy these videos as much as we're enjoying bringing them to you. With that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next video.